They finally grasped my actions' impact. For as long as I recall, my clan organized yearly voyage, a custom less about connection and more about unspoken regulation, rigidly implemented by my progenitors, irrelevant our life happenings, work obligations, individual matters, or significant incidents. Presence compulsory skipping wasn't mere absence. It was tacit defiance with repercussions. I had witnessed it previously. Kinfolk who missed the excursion, even with legitimate justifications, gradually became estranged. Gathering invitations became infrequent. Discussions turned frigid. And ultimately, they vanished into obscurity. This year's journey held greater significance. It was my father's 50th birthday festivity. My parents had meticulously arranged each aspect, ensuring guest list encompassed everyone vital. Being present wasn't simply anticipated. It was declaration of allegiance. I had never skipped journey, and now being wedded, I saw no justification for alteration. When my folks initially proposed it, they enthusiastically informed me about residence they'd leased. In Palm View Estate, expansive holiday house, Florida Keys. Ideal location for grand festivity. They requested I confirm presence promptly, so they could conclude preparations. I guaranteed them I'd attend, but I'd be accompanied by spouse Lauren. Ensuing quiet was unforeseen. My mom typically first respond enthusiastically any scheme, faltered when she eventually vocalized. Her manner was guarded. She expressed uncertainty about Lauren's appropriateness coming. That journey was exclusively kin. Perhaps it would be optimal she remained behind initially. I believed I'd misconstrued. It seemed illogical my wife and I constituted family. I requested elucidation, but my dad swiftly intervened, his voice resolute, as if desiring conclude discussion before escalation. He asserted it wasn't individual matter, that certain familial relationships might be impacted by strangers' presence. His statements were ambiguous, cautiously selected, but they failed to address my inquiry. I insisted upon genuine account, but rather than lucid response. My mom emphasized she desired no notice. She stated this was intended as celebration, and she favored avoiding any awkwardness amongst attendees. That's when I comprehended this wasn't proposition. It was conclusion they had already determined resolved. My folks did not desire my spouse present, regardless how much I attempted to comprehend their logic. All I received were justifications disguised as familial harmony concerns. The more I contemplated it, the more infuriated I became with my parents, who had always advocated for togetherness, for affection and kinship above all else, were now requesting I disregard my marriage, to behave as if the woman I chose to share my life was not deserving of inclusion in family gathering. My mom attempted to mitigate it, stating there remained opportunity to reconsider, that I should not make hasty choice. She maintained it was merely a journey, and that I was exaggerating matters. However, for me, this was not simply a trip. This was a trial of values, a clear indication about who they deemed family and who they didn't. I reached my decision swiftly. If my spouse was unwelcome, then neither was I when I informed them. The quiet was even more profound. My mom uttered my name in a tone of disillusionment, as if she could not comprehend what she heard. My dad, who had stayed impartial until that moment, accused me of excessive reaction. He asserted my attendance was crucial, that I shouldn't burden the family over a caprice. However, this was not a whim, and I would not allow them handle it as such. I stated firmly I was unwavering. When I emphasized I wouldn't participate without Lauren, everything crumbled. Mom sent lengthy text, blaming me for sabotaging Dad's birthday celebration, and reiterating that kinship should always prioritize. My sibling added, saying he couldn't fathom my actions, that if I genuinely valued our folks, I would resolve matters without absence. But what they failed to comprehend or acknowledge was that I wasn't issue source. I had merely established limit. I didn't then recognize this was merely commencement. My choice would alter family perception. It would demolish facade concord my folks had diligently preserved. For initial period post-discussion, there was quietude, no contact, no correspondence. As if anticipating my senses' return concede, I understood their tactic. allowing culpability permeate, expecting me burden, until I capitulated accepted conditions. But they failed grasp this instance. Circumstances differed. This wasn't mere family discord, resolvable with coerced apology. It concerned morals, respect, spouse. My matrimony and my self-quietude didn't endure. Aunt Catherine initiated contact. Her tone infused feigned solicitude. Yet I discerned attempt manipulation. She expressed sadness my absence journey. This merely simple misinterpretation. Nobody desired exclude Lauren. Allegedly my folks, avoiding confrontation, maintain harmony, ensure seamless proceedings. However, most disconcerting justification their choice. She asserted not dislike Lauren. Certain relatives potentially uneasy her presence. Therefore optimal she abstain attending. Response intensified my indignation. I inquired directly, specifically felt discomfort. Hesitation ensued. She evidently unanticipated query. Subsequently, she muttered indistinctly, stating not about pronouncements. Averting superfluous stress. Confirmed suspicions. Not concerning entire family. Not collective apprehension. Individual few issue spouse. Instead defending. Parents opted support opposition. I retorted resolutely kinship mattered. Avoid fracturing arbitrary exclusions. If grievance Lauren. Remedy, not alienation. Confront maturely. Catherine exhaled, declared obstinacy. Occasionally preferable relinquish tranquility. I expressed gratitude her contacting, but made unequivocally clear, unwavering decision. That evening mom sent another communication. Even lengthier this time, she unrestrained. She blamed me prioritizing spouse over kin, of ignoring being source discord. She asserted they solely pursuing everyone's benefit. I remained silent. I understood, arguing them futile. They lacked interest listening. They simply desired my surrender. Following morning, brother messaged. However, his demeanor changed. Less hostile, more calculated. He informed me he conversed parents. And although displeased my choice, opportunity remained rectifying matters. He proposed I rethink. Attend journey, allow festivities occur. Subsequently discuss Lauren later. Essentially, he wanted me feign ignorance, appear act normalcy, address problem indeterminate future moment. But I refused participate. That was epiphany. They disregarded my emotions, Lauren's ordeal. Their sole objective, avoiding disgrace. Ensuring my non-attendance wouldn't become uncomfortable discussion subject. They desired celebration proceed flawlessly uninterrupted. I would not grant them such contentment. I merely responded negatively. Zero clarification. No needless rationalization. No purpose prolonging discussion. My response would remain unchanged. Afterward, kinship communication became infrequent, yet each correspondence received contained subtle manipulation attempt. Initially, mother asserted impulsive choice and ample opportunity reconsider. Subsequently, Catherine contacted once more, cautioning regret over trivial matter estrangement. Ultimately, brother conveyed final correspondence, not directly menacing, but implying without yielding. Our bond irrevocably altered. By then, I certain no return. However, none us grasped then. This disagreement would escalate dramatically. Unforeseen manner. Part 2. Ensuing quiet post-refusal felt temporary ceasefire. But I knew truth family never relinquish matters, particularly when threatened unity facade. They diligently maintained. Time elapsed without communication. Outwardly things appeared tranquil. But inwardly, I harbored persistent suspicion, something brewing. Behind scenes, my mother's insistence. My brother's attempted negotiation. My aunt's meticulous word selection. Everything indicated concealed motive. Behind Lauren's exclusion decision. Suspicion validated unexpected call Andrew. Cousin distant relationship. Yet amicable connection. Unlike others lack condescension like mother. Passive aggression like brother. He seemed uneasy. Debating revealing knowledge. Brief hesitation, he divulged reality. Not relatives, issue Lauren. Not familial dynamics, avoiding awkwardness. Single individual Jessica. Brother's spouse initially. I desired believe, misinterpretation. Andrew's explanation clarified. Everything became comprehensible. Jessica opposed Lauren's attendance initially, directly approaching parents, expressing undesirability, instead refuting, reminding lacking authority, deciding familial inclusion. Parents listened ultimately, chose side. Lauren animosity wasn't novel. Developed years. Andrew recalled me insignificant instances ID neglected. How Jessica made sarcastic comments regarding Lauren's entire family gatherings. How she accused her outshining others' reunions. How she mocked her attendance Yuletide, insinuating Lauren craved spotlight. However, worst wasn't her past utterances. It was her current actions. Andrew informed me recent dialogue. Jessica bluntly stated if Lauren went, she would abstain, rather than objecting. My folks yielded. They opted sacrifice Lauren, appeased Jessica. Fury surged within me. I couldn't fathom absurdity. Jessica, lacking familial power, had swayed my progenitors until they'd exclude my spouse's journey, instead upholding righteousness. They capitulated her desires. Momentarily, I remained silent. I experienced blend, outrage, disappointment, unprecedented intensity. This transcended mere excursion. It constituted treachery now. It wasn't solely voyage. It wasn't about attendance. It was my parents' decree. My wife, expendable, appeasing Jessica paramount, outweighed honoring my marital vows. When I vocalized my tone, icier anticipated. I expressed gratitude, Andrew revealing honesty. However, I clarified one point. If they assumed ID passively accept, they mistaken after concluding call. I sat silently absorbing information. I reflected instances Jessica subtly belittled Lauren. She transformed gatherings into trivial contests. My sibling never interjected once. I contemplated my progenitors. They disregarded righteousness, placating toxic individual, instead defending principles. I wouldn't allow continuation. If they demonstrated their allegiances, I'd reciprocate accordingly. This instance, no reconciliation possible. Update 3 subsequent days, Andrew's disclosure, were permeated subdued rage. That amplified my determination. I couldn't permit family believe such callous choice without encountering repercussions. For years, they espoused unity regarding fidelity. Evidently, those principles applied situationally. They opted prioritize Jessica, individual, merely my sibling's spouse. Above myself, my union, I severed communication. If they felt no obligation, offered truthful account. Then I lacked desire converse. Lauren, although unspoken, sensed strain, felt pressure anxiety. I omitted details, withheld information. I avoided inflicting further pain, suffering. But she perceived something profound occurring. She refrained from questioning, probing. Perhaps knowing truth would surface eventually. The climax arrived, breaking point emerged. When I fielded unforeseen call from mother. Until then, I pondered, considered perhaps. Maybe they would genuinely try to reconcile men. That they might endeavor. At least attempt rational discourse, sensible dialogue. But instantly she spoke, commenced talking. I understood her true motive for contacting. She spoke calmly, almost nonchalantly, casually, as if normalcy prevailed, nothing amiss. She expressed hope. I contemplated, reflected, that I would recognize escalation out of hand. She emphasized my significance, presence, importance. My absence would darken, taint festivity celebration. Father desired family unity for his natal day. Briefly, I sensed something stirring. A flicker of former bond connection. But that sentiment dissipated, evaporated. Once she revealed her true intention, purpose. She acknowledged my perspective, viewpoint, but claimed it wasn't straightforward, uncomplicated, that occasionally within families kindred, compromises necessary for familial accord. Her statements meticulously selected to make me feel I was illogical, like I was exaggerating, overreacting. Then she proposed I join excursion regardless, temporarily disregard everything presently. Upon return, we could discuss rationally spokojna, as if mere misinterpretation, as if resolvable simple dialogue. Ilista na silanli revealing notus. When she paused, anticipating my reply. I decided against restraint any longer. I inquired if she believed I was unaware. If she and father thought they could conceal events and deceive me into believing Lauren was incompatible. Her tone immediately shifted. Before response, I continued. I informed her stated. I knew Jessica demanded Lauren's exclusion, that instead of denying her authority, they had acquiesced complied. Then I posed the burning question. If Jessica threatened absence non-attendance, why wasn't she excluded omitted? Why was her attendance presence prioritized over my chosen life partner? I didn't anticipate confession acknowledgement, but she conceded most cowardly manner. She claimed it wasn't straightforward. They hadn't intended further disagreement. That matters with brother and Jessica were complex, intricate. They didn't desire journey become conflict. She attempted rationalize it as method avert further issues, but she failed grasp they'd already generated one. I informed mother that by selecting, they demonstrated allegiances clearly. I serenely declared ID chosen correctly declining attend. If they wished govern family arbitrary regulations, they must be prepared repercussions. If Lauren wasn't kin them, then neither was I disconnected before response. Under 60 minutes, subsequently information disseminated. Unexpectedly grandmother. Among few relatives, consistently impartial. Made stance she was family leader. Person maintaining unity. And when she learned events, she was enraged. She contacted parents, declared conduct shameful. Austing Lauren due Jessica's requests intolerable. But she didn't conclude there. Demonstrating dissent, she withdrew trip attendance. That became tipping point. Her choice initiated domino effect. Other family began questioning situation. Gradually, some also retreated. Parents attempted manage discreetly. Anticipating ID comply silently. Now, they faced more than just my non-attendance. They were forfeiting increasing visitors. As news circulated, journey intended grand familial festivity. Now overshadowed strained discord. My task was revealing honesty opportunely. Ensuing bedlam exceeded expectations entirely. Years parents maintained semblance harmony. Feigned familial disputes resolved amicably, with reality unveiled exposed. Grandmother spearheading revolt essentially. Their meticulously crafted veneer shattered. Parental conflict escalated significantly, evolved into something much grander. Trip absence, no longer trivial inconvenience, symbolized family deeper fissures. Suspicions parental favoritism towards siblings confirmed. Now possessed irrefutable evidence. Consequences decisions became increasingly evident. Grandmother public condemnation demonstrated clearly. Transcended personal matter. Moralifical dilemme. Relatives reconsidered participation presence. Unwilling partake blatant injustice. Some contacted me personally directly. Inquired rumors' veracity, authenticity. Honesty prevailed, learned valuable lesson. Combating manipulation required truthfulness. Truth alone sufficient alter perspectives. Meanwhile, sibling uncharacteristically quiet. Atypical behavior enjoyed controlling narrative. Initially outspoken assertive. Amidst turmoil, he fell silent. He vanished. I understood it wasn't unintentional. He was probably awaiting everything to subside, desiring to evade responsibility. But if he believed he could relax, observe sidelines, he was mistaken ultimately. When matters became genuinely unmanageable, my parents, I ultimately received communication him. In this instance, his demeanor wasn't tranquil diplomatic. It was unadulterated fury without pause. He blamed me for sabotaging the journey. He stated everything had deteriorated uncontrollably because I had created commotion, that if I had been sensible regarding it, none of this would have transpired. According to him, my non-attendance wasn't the concern. The dilemma was that I had swayed others, that by maintaining my stance, I had transformed what should have been familial festivity into complete catastrophe. I allowed him to speak, listening with a forbearance someone who already possessed knowledge precisely what to utter. When he concluded, I responded with identical composure he had utterly forfeited. I inquire my sibling if he genuinely believed this was my transgression, or if subconsciously He understood the actual predicament was how they had ostracized Lauren. I questioned if he had even contemplated the predicament they had placed me, compelling me to select between my matrimony and my kin. There was quietude momentarily. I believed he might acknowledge it, but instead he adhered to his contention, uttering speaking. I overreacted, should handle matters rationally. Without creating disturbance, I chuckled. A frigid, mirthless chuckle. Despite everything transpired, he possessed audacity, make me feel culpable. I clarified his predicament. Not my if journey ruined. It because him Jessica manipulated parents. If he disliked repercussions, perhaps he should reconsider. Before allowing spouse dictate belonging family, he attempted downplay, minimize everything. Insisting we're still relatives, I should simply proceed. That was the moment I realized. None of them genuinely cared resolving this. They solely desired preserve their facade dominance. Subsequent communication came mother. However, her tone different. Nogit manipulation noedigans. She sounded weary, stated she desired no further conflict. That matters escalated unmanageable. That father was pained by events outcome. She asserted they never intended make Lauren unwelcome, that they merely attempting avert discord. I responded calm, resolute conviction. If they genuinely desired rectify matters, they needed assume accountability. What pained me greatest wasn't simply their allegiance, Jessica. It was that despite everything occurred, they displayed no genuine regret. Her reply feeble attempt downplay everything. She mumbled understood my feelings. But ultimately kinship should prioritize, and that was precisely the issue. My mom stressed everybody errs, and that we must proceed. She still thought time would erase all, and everything revert normalcy. I realized this dialogue was futile. I said soul path rebuild faith, was them acknowledging damage inflicted, and crucially apologized to Lauren directly. This wasn't solely about me. It concerned their flagrant disrespect toward spouse. If they desired prove they learned something, they must start by rectifying things. With her quietude, then eventually, she conceded would contemplate a discuss with Dad. I stated my position unwavering. I disconnected. Unusual tranquility ensued. Lauren noticed stress my expression, inquired what occurred. So I recounted everything. How Jessica had orchestrated all. How my folks chose exclude her. Simply appease brother's spouse. Her countenance morphed astonishment to sorrow, then acceptance. She voiced always suspected Jessica disliked her, but never envisioned she'd go that extent. Subsequently, she grasped my hand, uttered unforgettable words. She felt appreciation not due to familial acceptance, but because I remained supportive loyal. That sufficed my requirement hearing. Afterward, Mom transmitted communication. She, along with Dad, desired conversation with Lauren. Zero justifications, zero clarifications. Merely solicitation. Am uncertain about future reliance on them. However, I comprehend one aspect. If they seek reunification, they must demonstrate alteration transformation. If not, this separation will endure perpetually.